If you guys kind of hear something different in my voice, is because I'm going through a bit of a cold and a sore throat. I'm getting a little bit better, but still kind of there, so bear with me. Today we're going to be talking about Last Night in Soho, directed by Edgar Wright and starring Anya Taylor-Joy and Thomasin McKenzie. Now, this is a movie about a fashion designer or a girl who wanted to be a fashion designer named Lucy, and she goes into her new apartment in this new town, and during her sleeps, she gets transported into the 1960s, a place in which she is very nostalgic about despite her not living at that time. And she sees visions of this girl named Sandy there, and she follows her life throughout these dreams and starts to begin finding out that something is not right here, and she's trying to figure out what's going on. Now, this is Edgar Wright's first establishment into horror, and for the most part, I think he did a very good job. Most of the scares come from the uncertainty of these situations, how Sandy is treated during these times, how women are affected in the 1960s, and what kind of life they have that was pretty terrible, and how Lissy discovered many of these unfortunate events in a horrific way. There are some ghostly stuff in there, a little bit more fantastical elements, but it was mostly the grounded realism of the film that kept it scary for the most part, in my opinion. Um, and I think you could tell it's probably one of Edgar Wright's weaker films because I just think he's able to balance the realism and the fantastical elements as well as I think he could have. But for a first time into the horror genre, I think he did a pretty alright job doing the scares for the most part. Just not the scariest movie in my opinion, but the mystery aspect of the film, the uncertainty of these situations, what direction he could possibly take you in this story. He does a fantastic job with that in the storytelling department. I, for one, was following the film, and for the most part, I just let the director guide me because I'm not sure what's going to happen in the story if any of the characters are going to die. Matt Smith, who plays Jack in the film, who is the antagonist, is really creepy, and I loved his performance. I wish there was a little bit more of that. Though his character not the most memorable, it was mostly saved by Matt Smith's performance. I was more invested into Thomas McKenzie's Lucy and Anna Taylor-Joy's Sandy. But man, Matt Smith could do no wrong with the performance. And Anya Taylor-Joy in the film is also really fantastic as Sandy. I really loved her character here. She does a really good job. And Thomasin McKenzie, who you probably recognize from Jojo Rabbit, is really good here. This is probably one of my favorite performances of hers ever so far, and she has a career ahead of her. I can tell you that with this and Jojo Rabbit. I cannot wait to see more from this actress. The cinematography, the camera work, how it was all filmed is all really unique, and it is something that only Edgar Wright could pull off. This doesn't have the fancy editing that we usually see from the director, though it is edited very well and the film still has his style. This is more of a diversion from what he usually does, and I appreciate Edgar Wright for trying something different here. And for the most part, I think it worked. The characters were all very likable. The story was engaging. I loved the mystery and horror aspects, despite the horror aspects themselves not being handled the best, in my opinion, and what keeps it from being one of Edgar Wright's best films. I overall still had a really good time with this movie, and I'm going to give Last Night in Soho an A minus. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you guys next time.